Hello everybody and welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol custom character creation video. And for the last entry in this series, we did Venusaur, the first of our three starters to get their final form. And for this week, we're moving on to Charizard. So yeah, really excited to jump back into this series in general, because I definitely put it on a little bit of a hiatus there while I was dealing with some just kind of life stuff in general, but we're hopefully coming back to a little bit more consistent schedule. And yeah, starting that out with Charizard here. So we've already done Charmander, and we did do Charmeleon over in the members only series. So if you're curious at all, check out eventually becoming a channel member. I have it at pretty much the lowest price I'm pretty sure I could possibly have it at, and it gives you access to the remaining Pokemon characters that we've been working on that we're not doing in the main series here. You know, your middle forms or just the stuff that isn't quite as fan favorite. Recently finished out the Pidgeotto line, and I was really excited with how Pidgeot turned out. So definitely, if you really like this series, consider going and checking that out. Anyways, going back to Charizard here, we already done Charmander, so we're going to be able to steal a few things from him because some of the abilities are going to be the same. Most notably, we're going to be able to steal Solar Power and Blaze here, so those are going to be quite similar. But Charizard, of course, is going to be his own character. He's going to have a totally unique set of things to kind of play around with here. So yeah, let's kind of just jump right into things here. So first things first, Blaze and Solar Power are still the abilities as mentioned. We're not doing Mega Charizard today, so we're not looking at Tough Claws or Drought, although that could be fun to explore in the future. Definitely something I'm looking forward to doing. And Charizard is breaking the size 1 barrier here. He's going up to a size 2 character. He's 5'7", and he's got the weight to definitely qualify him as a size 2 character. So that definitely feels good. As for movement speed, I think it's fair to put him up to a medium. There's half an argument he could be on a medium base as well, so that would make him pretty quick. And then for health, let's see here. What did we end up doing with Charmander? Charmander we have as a 5-5 split. I want to say Charmeleon we did 6-6, and then Charizard probably would make sense to do 7-7 because he's going to be a 5 threat. Charmander being a 3, Charmeleon being a 4, and Charizard being a 5. Just kind of makes sense that way. And then for defensive stats, we had 3-4-3 on Charmander. For now, I think we're going to keep them the same on Charizard, but we'll see if maybe we want to make any of those better or worse going forward. So before we get too far into new moves and things like that, we are going to be making sure to include solar power, which we are going to hold off on properly filling out all the text for, just because last time with Charmander here it affected Ember, so we'll have to see what move it might affect for Charizard. But we are going to have solar power, and then of course we're also going to have Blaze. Blaze we can just copy over from Charmander, so Charmander was 4 or more damage. For Charizard it's going to have to be 5 or more damage, because he does have a little bit more stamina going on. Maybe 6. It's supposed to be a third, but that leaves little room for error there. So we'll probably do 5 or more damage. Alrighty, so we've gone ahead and written out Blaze here. While this character has 5 or more damage, you may reroll 2 dice during its attack rolls. And then we've also given him that immunity, Incinerate, and of course Flight, because he is a flying type now. He has big wings and everything. Not a dragon type, just a flying type. And yeah, we're going to hold off on fully realizing solar power here just until... Solar polar? Is that what I wrote here? Wow, I wasn't thinking there. Power, solar power. There we go. Alrighty, so yeah, time to figure out what moves we want to give Mr. Charizard here. So let's jump over to his learn set real quick and decide what we want to do here. So interestingly, Air Slash is the move he gets on evolution. That could be kind of fun, so we'll open up Air Slash there. It's actually the move I ended up giving out to Pidgeot as his builder, so that would make things a little bit easier if we could just copy that over from Pidgeot. That would be cool. Other moves we could consider, I believe Dragon Breath and Fire Fang are what I gave to Charmeleon, so we don't really want to look at those. I think I also gave Scary Face there. Flamethrower, I think, is almost going to be an auto include here. And then we have access to Fire Spin, Inferno, and Flare Blitz, all of which could be interesting. I'm not seeing much, though, in the way of utility moves, although maybe Fire Spin we could call a utility move to kind of treat as a superpower instead of a actual attack. So, yeah, this definitely going to be an interesting one. Alrighty, so getting into some of the moves here. The first one is Air Slash here, which we could just take from Pidgeot. So Air Slash, it is just a damage dealing move that has a chance to cause a flinch. And because it's like a blade of air, it's like a projectile style thing. What we did with Pidgeot was we gave it a slow trigger and a pierce trigger. The slow to represent the flinch, and then just kind of what it is being the pierce there. And yeah, it was a pretty solid builder, and I would be happy to include it again on Charizard. But of course, we do have a lot of other options available to us, including stuff like Flamethrower, which we definitely have to include. Whether we're including it as a builder or a spender, though, is remains to be seen. So Flamethrower here is a damage dealing move that has a chance to burn the target. That's pretty straightforward. We can just do the Incinerate condition. But there's not much more to it than that. It burns. It's a Flamethrower. We could do this as a beam if we wanted. We could do this just as a regular attack. It's a pretty straightforward move. We could do a lot with it. Very intentionally, I skipped over Fire Spin. We're looking at Inferno now. So this deals damage and always burns the target, so that would be an automatic burn. It's pretty high power, but it has a low accuracy, which is always an awkward one, trying to figure out how you want to make that work in a game that doesn't really have accuracy as a thing. I don't know, it's an interesting one. I'm probably going to end up passing on Inferno just because the low accuracy makes it really hard to account for. And honestly, it's not the first move I think about. I don't know. I usually think Flamethrower more than Inferno, and they're going to be kind of stepping on each other's toes. So we'll cross out Inferno there and look at Flare Blitz next. And Flare Blitz is a move I would strongly consider using as a spender. It's between Flare Blitz and Flamethrower for the spender, and if I end up deciding it's Flare Blitz, then Flamethrower probably becomes the builder, or maybe I do all three. That could be interesting. Flamethrower is like a mini spender. Kind of down with that, actually. So Flare Blitz is a damage dealing move that also does damage back to you. We could do something like one of those crit mechanics that that War Machine has, maybe, or Invincible Iron Man, I think, has a similar one where like your crits are really good, but they potentially do some back to you. That could be kind of cool. It's got a burn chance, so again, Wild Incinerate or something like that. Yeah, not much more to it than that. It is a physical attack that's like the user charging at the target, so could be like an ambush trigger or something like that on there as well, or maybe just an automatic place at that point because this would be a spender. Yeah, I think all of these moves would be pretty straightforward, and I'm kind of liking the idea of including all three of them. Air Slash being a physical move because it's a blade of air, and then Flamethrower being a special move or energy move rather, and then Flare Blitz maybe being physical, maybe being energy, maybe being one that lets you pick. Don't hate that. Yeah, I think we've got some room to kind of move around with this. So first things first, I'm going to do Air Slash, which I'm just going to pretty much take word for word from the Pidgeot that I made earlier for the members only series. So that's going to be pretty straightforward. Basically, the way we did it was a 6 dice attack. It was at range 3, and it had Pierce, it had a slow, and it had a or it was a builder. So yeah, builder. And then I think what I ended up doing was I did a wild slow and a crit pierce. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all of those out here. So crit pierce, and yeah, simple as that. So I'm going to go ahead and fill all that over in a moment. But for now, we're going to go ahead and add those other two attacks as well, because I think those ones are going to be a little bit more interesting. The next one being Flamethrower. Flamethrower, I'm thinking I want to do as a beam. I think that's where the kind of versatility is going to come in here. Is Flamethrower will be a beam attack. We'll maybe also keep it at 3, maybe 4. And I'm thinking something very similar to like a Ghost Rider beam, where it's like 5 or 6 dice, nothing too crazy. That just like if it does damage, on damage, burn, something like that. I'm really doing good at the typing today. On damage, burn. There we go. Something like that. And then the last one here is of course going to be Flare Blitz, and this one is going to be a little bit more interesting. I think this is going to be a relatively high cost of, oh, that's the other thing, I didn't want Flamethrower to be free. We'll make it cost, let's say 1. You know what, let's say 2, and we'll bump it up to 6 dice. I don't remember what Ghost Riders was, but I always felt like it was underwhelming as a 5 dicer. So I think 2 cost for 6 dice seems fine. And then Flare Blitz will make something like 4 or 5 cost, and I'm thinking something along the lines of like 8 or 9 dice. We'll have that Wild Incinerate, and then it'll place off of the target. So you know what, 5 costs, we'll make it a nice 10 dicer, and then place off of the target, let's say before damage is dealt. So yeah, that all seems pretty good to me. So we'll word all these out and then come right back. All right, so I've gone ahead and worded out all of these attacks here. So we got Air Slash. It's our range 3/6 dice builder. It's going to have that Wild Slow and Crit Pierce. Then we got Flamethrower, which is apparently just called Flamethrow. I'm doing great today, guys. This is a Beam 3/6 dice energy attack. It's going to be a 2 cost, and after each attack is resolved, if the attack dealt damage, target character gains the Incinerate special condition. And then lastly, we have Flare Blitz here, which has a range 3. I realized that I had it at 2 before, but I meant for all of his things to be 3 here. 10 dicer, which is going to cost you 5 power, with a Wild Incinerate and before damage is dealt. I totally forgot about the crit mechanic. That needs to be a thing. So let's actually bump that down to a 9 dicer, because I don't want the crit mechanic to be, you know, too crazy for damage. And yeah, I think we're just going to steal this from like War Machine or Invincible Iron Man, maybe. If I remember correctly, Invincible Iron Man's was a little bit more fair, so I think we're looking at that one. Yeah, so looking at Invincible Iron Man's here, when rolling additional crit results during this attack, get 2 additional dice instead of 1 for each crit, and then after the attack is resolved, if the attack roll contains any crit results, this character suffers 2 damage. That seems a little bit more reasonable to me. So, yeah, I'm just going to copy that as it is, and we'll jump right back. Alrighty, so we've gone ahead and taken all that text. When rolling additional dice for crit results during this attack, roll 2 additional dice instead of 1 for each crit in the attack roll, and then after the attack is resolved, if it contains any crits, this character suffers 2 damage. And I think what's kind of fun about that is if you have Blaze active, this is going to hit like an absolute truck. However, you're also going to knock yourself out, which I think is kind of funny, or you could be strategic with it, reroll your own criticals to try and stay alive, which I think is a fun decision point of, are you going for more damage, or would you prefer to, you know, do a good amount of damage still, hopefully, and stay alive? Which I think is cool. So yeah, I think that's going to be fun. So the next thing we want to do is we want to look at solar power here and how we want to make that work. So on Charmander here, it was during the next Ember attack made by this character, he adds 2 dice to his attack roll, and then after the attack is resolved, he suffered 1. I think we're going to do this with Flamethrower. I think that's what we want to do. Is that going to be really good? Yes, it's going to make Flamethrower, I'm totally looking at Iron Man, it's going to make Flamethrower a 4 cost 8 dice beam, which is pretty good, I think. So yeah, we're just going to do that. Alright, so there we go. We have solar power. During the next flamethrower attack action made by this character this turn, add 2 dice to its attack rolls. After each attack is resolved, this character suffers 1 damage. And yeah, I mean, if you have the power to do this twice, you do the first one, you light them all on fire, you do it again, and now you're throwing 8 dice beams on people who are already on fire and have just taken an 8 dice beam. It's pretty good in my opinion. That's pretty solid. Yeah, Charizard is kind of just all brutal damage and aggression here, which is exactly what the other 2 forms are, so it kind of makes sense. But I do want to do one more thing, and that is take a look at a Fire Spin. So Fire Spin is an interesting move. It is a wall of text, apparently. Oh my gosh. So basically the idea is it's going to do damage over time, and it's going to slowly, you know, siphon away their HP in a fixed amount, but they're also trapped, so they can't switch out and things like that. And yeah, it's an interesting move. I don't know exactly how I want to make it work. It would definitely require some sort of token, I think, similar to like Leech Seed or something like that. I'm kind of almost thinking about Kraven's ability. Let me pull that up real quick. So I'm looking at Kraven's Corner the Beast ability here. Choose an enemy character within 3 of him. Until the end of its next activation, each time the chosen character advances or climbs, it suffers 1 damage. If they have the Wall Crawler superpower, I don't care about that part. Basically, anytime the chosen character moves, is what I'm going to say, it suffers 1 damage. And yeah, that seems like it could be really, really cool. I'm basically just taking the first part of this, so it won't be as long because we are running out of space here on Charizard. But yeah, I think it would be a really, really cool superpower, so I want to try and incorporate it here. So Fire Spin, we're going to make it, let's say, yeah, I think 2 cost is fine. How much is Corner of the Beast? 2 cost? Yeah, I think we'll do it as a 2 cost, and we will also make it range 3. So yeah, we're basically going to copy that word for word, and we'll jump right back. Alrighty, so there we've added Fire Spin. Choose an enemy character within range 3 until the end of its next activation. Each time the chosen character advances or climbs, it suffers 1 damage. I think that's just kind of a cool way to give you an answer to like, oh, you left that character alive, you're out of actions to deal with them, and you don't want them to run away. there you go. If they choose to run away, they're going to be taking some damage for that, and I think that's neat. I don't think it's going to be the most powerful thing on his card. I mean, I certainly haven't seen Craven get too much use out of the ability, but I do think it's really cool and definitely fits the theme of Fire Spin. So glad we were able to include it there. So yeah, with that out of the way, I think we're basically done with Charizard here. We're gonna go ahead and copy him over to the flip side here. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how he's turned out here. I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna bump him up to being a 4/4/3, just being a 5 threat. I feel like that is kind of nice to have. He's only 7/7 for stamina, so 14 stamina, which isn't bad, but then he's got a bunch of ways that he's hurting himself and doesn't really have anything in the way of defensive tech, so I think that's going to be, as far as fives are concerned, definitely on the squishier side. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how he turned out here. I like that we were able to include Air Slash. I really like that attack after making it for Pidgeot. I think Flamethrower works really well here. It's going to be kind of similar to those Ghost Rider beams, which usually I'm not a huge fan of, but I think between being a little bit more dice and then having access to solar power here, I think I like it a lot more. And then Flare Blitz, I think is pretty neat. It's just going to be, hey, how are you feeling about criticals today? And I think the kind of interaction it has with Blaze is definitely fun. The idea of like, maybe I want to reroll my own crits to try and keep him alive could be kind of cool. But yeah, he's very similar to the ones before him, of just kind of being, hey, I'm here to do damage. That's what I do. I'm going to burn things. I'm going to do good damage. Don't really have much in the way of control here or survivability. He's got the slow condition, which I guess is pretty nice, but otherwise he's really just there to beat things up, and I think he's going to do it pretty well. I think he's going to hit relatively hard, especially with solar power there and Flare Blitz being what it is. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about this character. I think he came out pretty well, and I think he definitely represents what Charizard is. Definitely let me know what you guys think down below. Are there any moves or abilities you guys would have liked to see represented here that I didn't quite get to? Always curious to see what you guys' thoughts are. And also, do you think he's a reasonably balanced character? Do you think he's too strong, too weak? Definitely let me know what you guys think down below. But that is going to do it for this custom character video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, please do drop a like down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We are going to hopefully be bringing this series back to being a regular thing, but we also do battle reports and things like that. So if you're a fan of anything like that, feel free to jump on in. And if you're a big fan of this series and you want to see more and support the channel while you're doing it, consider becoming a member, where we are doing an additional upload for this series every week, doing the entire 151 of the Pokedex. So yeah, like I mentioned a couple times this video, we just completed Pidgeot, which means we're moving on, I think, to the Rattata line next, actually. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah, once more, I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, have a great day, everybody. Peace.